Welcome to the East Skinny, where we dig into the most recent numbers from Putnam and Westchester. The Skinny is brought to you by the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors, featuring single-family homes from HGMLS East. Housing has been at mid-court in 2012, and the results of the jump ball have been favorable for buyers and sellers. For the first time since 2006, housing is on track to be a net positive contributor to GDP. After 6 long years with a losing record, it's about time for a positive outcome. Housing markets were once overburdened with distressed properties, excessive supply, and weak consumer demand. But a timeout was taken in 2012, and the market was able to rehydrate and breathe easier. Driven by low rates, affordable prices, rising rents, and a better jobs market, buyers were quite active during the fourth quarter. 1,209 properties sold, a significant 25.4% more sales than last year at this time. For 2012 as a whole, we saw 15.6% more sales activity. In fact, at 5,106 units, sales volumes reached a 5-year high. The median sales price of $505,000 was up 5.2% for quarter 4. For the entire year, the median price of $540,000 was down a modest 1.5% compared to 2011. Though it's impossible to say with 100% certainty, this looks and feels like a bottom. 3 factors should lead to a turnaround next year: less supply, more demand, and a recovering lender-mediated segment. When faced with inventory constraints, some consumers revised their game plan with a sense of urgency. Buyers ended the year with 3,287 homes from which to choose, or about 29% fewer than last year. Switching teams, sellers also had about 29% less competition. At 6.9 months supply of inventory, it's a trend that's already brought our region back toward balance. But strong affordability and low rates are still favoring the buying team. Speaking of which, those who did sell last quarter realized 90.1% of their list price on average. That's up from 89.3% a year ago. Given how common multiple offers have become, well-priced and well-presented listings are selling in less time for closer to list price. Together, these trends illustrate just how the landscape for sellers is improving. Overall, 2012 was one of the first real recovery years for housing demand, though firmer prices tend to lag other improvements. Housing fans are still cheering for more jobs, as they should. An improving labor market has the potential to fuel new housing demand through new household formations. Washington must also do its part. There's still time for our representatives to be part of the solution. It will take smart policy and tough compromises, but let's continue moving our great nation forward. That's the Hudson East Skinny for this quarter. Check back next time for the latest.